Hi everyone, and welcome to And So On. My name is Lisa, and today I have part 2 of making a dress with the Tailor Academy. Okay, so I am back, and when last we left our dress, we had the front and the back fully completed, the zipper was put in, and then we were about to start the facings. Again, I'm just following along exactly with what Stefan is doing in the video. So I put my iPad right on my table, right next to my project, and I follow along step by step because I find that all the little details, which is really what I'm trying to get out of this, come when I'm following step by step. It looks something like this. This was great to learn how to kind of roll the zipper out of the way in order to apply the back facing so that when you flipped it the right side in, it went right down the side of the zipper and enclosed the zipper tape. That was really nice and very clean finish. I hadn't done that before. Of course, Stefan got very specific on the V-neck because you want a nice clean V. So we added a chalk line to that center of the V so that we were able to turn right on a dime and get a nice crisp V and then give it a snip before turning it right side in. Now, I think that I actually ironed mine right then and there because I wanted to see, like, is it clean? Is it crisp? I think he did it a little bit later in the video, but I really wanted to see if I was on track. Now, of course, we had to understitch our facings, and they called it top stitching, which I guess it is top stitching, but that technique of attaching the seam allowance to the facing to keep it from rolling out, I call understitching. So we did the understitching all the way around the facings to make sure that they lay nice and flat. I did the technique for joining of the shoulder seam so it was all nice and clean. I did have one small struggle, and I'll show you the little blip that I had, a little pucker, and it actually came into my mind what Stefan said when I was watching the first 3 episodes in a row for the last video, and that was, if there's a mistake, go back and fix it right away. You will never regret going back and fixing something so it is perfect or as close to perfect as possible. And so I did. I got out my seam ripper and I went back and I redid it. I think the reason why I had a little bit of trouble with that technique is because the Ramie fabric is a little bit thicker than sort of the lighter fabrics that the pattern called for. And even though I think it absolutely does work for this dress, it would be easier to pull out the facing from inside in order to sew that if it was a lighter fabric. However, in the end, success, a beautiful finish, shoulder seam, and all done. The other thing I did do to make sure that those shoulder seams sat nicely is I did trim my seams down a little bit, which again, with a thicker fabric, you probably wouldn't have needed to, but for me, just to make them nice and flat, I did trim out a little bit of the fabric, and I also pounded them a little bit with I don't have a hammer, and so I literally use the end of this and I pound it to flatten the seams, sort of like how you do with jeans sometimes, just to like compact the fabric a little bit, and that really helped. At this point, I tried on the dress for the first time because I didn't want to do the hem unless I was sure that I didn't need to take anything in or out. And you do get a 2 centimeter seam allowance in the side seam, which really allows you to customize. Mine, it fit perfect. It fit absolutely perfect. I didn't feel the need to do anything, so I soldiered on. The hem finishing technique was a simple blind hem. I love hand stitching. I find it very meditative, and so I quite enjoy it. I'll show you, I tried his technique of the way he folds it to do the blind hem, which is not exactly what I do. And I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed. I found it a little more awkward. I'm sure if I kept practicing, I would do that just fine. But I actually just leave it flat and I pick up one thread from one side and a larger chunk from the hem and then go back in. So it's the same technique. I just hold the fabric a little differently, but it was fun to just sort of try a different way. And I'm sure that if I kind of kept going with it, I would find it just as comfortable. We put in a couple of stitches along the side seam, right where the facing is, so that it didn't flip back. And then also we did this very cool thing where he gets you to cut this little rectangle of fabric and finish the edges. And then we put it on the inside of where the vent is, the back vent, to give stability to that seam. And I'll show you how that worked. So that was something I'd never seen before, and I could see using it in other circumstances as well, because I have had in the past where I've had something where 2 seams come together like that, and if there's any stress on it, they do tend to come apart over time. So I thought it was very clever to, add that little bit of support, and I think that that will really help with the wearing of the dress. And so after a final pressing, dun, da, da, dum, we have the dress. And yeah, I mean, I am so pleased with this dress. I think that this is finished really, really well. Nothing's perfect. Of course, there are tiny little things that maybe I could have done better. Some things that are a tiny bit uneven. But really, I think if you looked at this, you could absolutely believe that this came from a shop. I really think that the quality and the finishings, like the way here, the way the facing is attached to the inside to the zipper, all the ends are in there. It's just really done with just simple but very clean finishings, and I love that. Like, I love the idea of finishing something to a high standard but without being fussy. It doesn't need to be fussy, it can be simple but still be really effective. And there's that back vent that has the support on the underside here. Let's see if I can show that to you. And there you go, there's that support on the underside, and to keep this seam from opening up and give it a little extra support. All right, I said I would give you a twirl, and so here's my little twirl. I think this dress pattern is so classic, and once you have it fitted to you, I could use this a million ways. I mean, this obviously is like in a linen, so it's gonna be a casual dress that I can wear to lunch or out maybe for coffee with a friend. It's that kind of dress. I could also, you know, dress it up by adding heels. Here I'm wearing it with some black boots because it was still quite cool and a little bit too cool for bare legs still. I could also use it for a cabaret dress if I were doing a show, if I did it in, you know, in a brighter color, maybe a little bit of like a stretch silk or something like that, that had a little bit of fancier edge. You could use it for, you know, a mother of the bride or even a bridesmaid. You could add flutter sleeves. You could lengthen it to midi length. I think there's so many things that you could do with this dress pattern. So just to remind you, if you head over to the Tailor Academy, you can do the money back guarantee, which gives you the first 3 classes to try out before you decide whether or not you want to commit. So on the last video and also the first video that I did about the Tailor Academy, more than one person commented who are doing the course, and every person who commented said that they really have enjoyed it and found a lot of value. I'd like to thank the Tailor Academy for sponsoring this video. It was so much fun for me to delve a little deeper by actually doing the class beginning to end. I'm so happy with the finished product. I have absolutely taken that pattern and stashed it away for the next time I need to make something similar. And I can also see going back and reminding myself of some of those techniques because I have access to these videos long term. This was just so much fun, and over the course of 2 days, I was able to end up with a finished product that I can absolutely be proud of. Okay guys, that's all for me today. I hope that wherever you are, the sun is shining and you are sewing, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.